Well, hello everyone, and welcome along to episode 12 of Switch of Play. And I'm delighted to say that my co-host this week, we're changing it up. A substitution's been made, and Mark Tinkler's on in place of Nicky Barron for 1 week only. Hello, Tinks. How are you doing?
Hi, Mark. I'm good, thanks. I've been subbed a few times at Hartlepool, so it doesn't make much difference tonight.
You never came on at right back, though, did you, for Mickey?
I don't think so. He might have come on in midfield for me. Oh, he actually did. I think he started against Hull and he scored a beauty, I think. Did he start in midfield that game?
He did, centre midfield,
yeah. So I think I was suspended or injured and he started and he scored a great goal. So I think he's away in Cornwall, I think he said. He asked us, you and Mick asked us to step in. So I said, yeah, no problem.
And it's been, I don't know if you've obviously been on as a guest yourself, but there's been a lot of fun, haven't there? And the feedback we've got's been pretty good. You enjoyed it when you came on, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's great. It's great looking back over your time in Hartlepool, over your career, and talking. Obviously, you and Mickey have got a good idea what went on at Hartlepool. It was fantastic. Really enjoyed it, and I haven't listened to Tommy's yet. I've not, but I'll listen to Tommy's in the next few days. But yeah, it's been great. I've listened to everybody else. It's been fantastic. I think the fans really enjoy it because it gives them a good insight into what goes on behind the scenes at times and how the players are feeling and going through the season and different emotions and obviously other things that go on in the football environment, which is really good for the fans and obviously for players to talk about as well.
And what can we expect tonight? Because I know I was messaging you, a week or two ago saying, like, right, you're coming on as the co-host, who should we get as the guest? And you said, what about the big Greek?
I did, yeah. I think it'd just be interesting to hear Dimi's story. Obviously, he was at Hartlepool for, I think, was it 4 years? I think
4 years, it was. Yeah.
4 years. Just to see where he come from. Obviously, living in Greece, growing up in Greece, and how he ended up coming to Hartlepool, and obviously going back to AK Athens, and then coming back and obviously reigniting his career really at Middlesbrough. So it'd just be interesting for the fans to hear about that. And I'm sure Dimi's got plenty of stories of him and Joel and coming up into training.
There was thick as thieves, weren't there?
What was it? What do you call the car again?
The Dew.
Joel's car. Dew, that's it. I think he's got a few stories of that, so it'll be interesting to hear Dimi's take on that.
Well, without further ado, welcome to Switch of Play, Dimi Konstantopoulos. Dimi, good evening. How are you?
Hello, I'm very good. How are you? Good to be here.
Thanks, I'm good. We've got the co-host Tinks with us tonight as well, who you shared many happy years with. What were you two like as teammates? You got on really well, didn't you?
Yeah, we were fine. Me and Dim, we had a few barneys about his kicking at times, but other than that, we were fine.
What did you like as a teammate?
No, it was good, mate. I remember one incident, Tranmere away, the second leg, where you missed the fucking penalty as well, by the way.
I'll put that to the back of my mind now.
Simo, seriously, he came on, right? He gave the free kick away. We conceded the first goal, and he missed the penalty. And before that, he cleared the ball before I caught it. And I said to him, "Thanks, for fuck's sake." And he went, "I can't fucking hear."
It was my best 20 minutes of Hartlepool career, I tell you that.
90 seconds in, he's coming for you here, Tinks, already.
Oh, I should be careful. I've got some stories.
So, Dimi, just tell us a little bit about your life at the minute. I mean, how is, what you're up to? How's the lockdown affecting things for you? And how have you been coping with it with your family and everything?
It's been weird, like everyone, mate. Obviously, being professional for 23 years and being involved at clubs, it's a bit. It was a bit strange before when before the lockdown, you could go out and train, and I was training with Hartlepool for a bit. It felt all right. It was still active. It just all of a sudden you have to stay in, and especially when you have little kids as well, that they need to be entertained constantly. It was difficult for them. It's like a transitional period for me. Just doing my coaching badges, trying to finish them, but obviously lockdown set that back a bit. Yeah, and I'm just looking forward to start again something, you know, like being involved in football in some capacity. But you know, you can't do much about it. I just, you know, just try to be a human. What you call it? Play area for the kids.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah,
wait for things to change.
It'd be tough for obviously parents who've got little ones to try and keep them occupied, Dim, won't it? I think all this time,
Oh,
especially
mate,
if you're only small and 4 or 5 year old and stuff. It's tough, isn't it?
My kids are 9 and 4.
Yeah.
It's a zoo. The house is an absolute zoo. But you know, we made it so far. I think we'll survive now.
Yeah. Sorry, Mark. Just want to ask you, how far along are you with your badges now?
I'm just on the assessment on the B to finish it. I was supposed to do it before the summer, but obviously you can't do a lockdown with the academies closed and everything. Yeah. So just waiting for the academies to open so I can do the last 2 assessment sessions. The examiner, Topi, said you know, I can still do anything, you know, or start somewhere, and he'll just vouch for it, you know, where I'm at. But obviously, it's better to have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Good. So is that where your future lies now in the coaching, Dimi? Have you officially retired from playing, or are you still looking to play on at this time, or where's the future lie for you now?
Well, you know, at my age, obviously, I feel all right still. I think I could still play, but if you leave it for a certain period of time, sort of, it's not easy to get back into it. And you know, unless something dramatic happens, I can't see me like playing again. So coaching is the next thing I would focus on, because, as I said, football has been a way of life, and I can't think of myself not being involved in football in some capacity.
Is that something that's always been on your mind? I know you said you're taking your badges now, but is even when you were playing, was coaching something that you thought, you know, one day I might go into that?
Yeah, of course. That was the idea all along. Not like a plan, because things change a lot in football, but it was the idea all along. You know, as you go further in your career, you gain experience, you work with different coaches and different managers, and you try to pick things from them. And I was lucky enough to work with a lot of good managers and a lot of good coaches, and lucky to play in England. I play in Greece. I play in different countries, different philosophies. So I think that will help me in that aspect. But yeah, it's just a matter of starting somewhere and getting the focus again, and just trying to, you know, climb up slowly and see what comes of it.
Just going back the way. Sorry, Mark.
Yeah.
Just going back to where you started, Tim. Obviously in Greece. How did you end up? Obviously, I know you played for a couple of clubs in Greece. How did you end up coming to Hartlepool, and what was that journey like?
Oh man, it's a proper book. That if it comes out in a movie, it'll be bestseller. I was playing in Greece, but I always said the back because I watched English football. I was a Man United fan because of Peter Schmeichel, and I always wanted to end up in England. At the time, I was in Spain. I was trialing for a second division club in Spain in the summer. Everything was going well. I was in a 5-star hotel. They were picking me up every day. They offered me a deal, and an agent rang me one night. Said, "There's a club in England who want to have a look at you." I said, "What's the club?" He said, "Hartlepool United." I said, "Hartlepool, Liverpool, how different can it be?" So I just left early in the morning, 5 in the morning, the hotel, caught up a train, went to the airport. The guys from the Spanish club, they were looking for me to go to training. Never said anything to anyone. Got on the plane, landed in Teesside Airport. You know, picked me up. Moza picked me up, the physio.
Yeah.
All right, John.
Yeah, John picked me up. He took me to Seaton Carew. He put me in the Norton Hotel at B&B. And I walked in and I thought, what the fuck have you done?
What, so it wasn't like a 5-star hotel in Spain?
No, I had a contract, man. It was all sorted. They offered me 5-star hotel. Went in Northern. I remember I was sitting on the bed, and I could close the bathroom door with my leg from the bed, and I was thinking, Jimmy, fuck me.
No, but you had a sea view though, didn't you?
Yeah, it was unreal. Yeah. The owners were Howard and Sue. I stayed there for about 6 months, and they nearly adopted me. Bless them, they were really nice. They had a dog called Chloe. Seriously, we were a family.
Brilliant. So why did you make that move, Dim? Why did you choose Hartlepool over, obviously, the club in Spain?
Because I wanted to play in England. You know, I had that bug inside me that I wanted to try in England. And, you know, I liked to see full stadiums, and I liked the way the grounds were, like, compact and tight and all that. And I like to try. So I got my bag of clothes. I got on the plane. I landed in Hartlepool.
What were your first impressions of Hartlepool? And when you arrived, obviously the Norton Hotel has been mentioned week on week in this podcast. Loads of players stayed there. But what were your first impressions of the town and then the stadium as well?
Do you know what? Back then, I was sort of crazy, and I was young, and I didn't care anything about the football, and everything looked all right to me. I remember I was getting about 150 quid a week in an envelope, and I remember going out and thinking, after obviously I spent like 30 quid, and I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm rich here, you know. I'm not spending anything. It's all so cheap. And I liked the ground, you know. I watched a couple of games, and I was telling to my family when they were ringing me, yeah, it's all perfect, it's fantastic. And someone was picking me every day from the Norton Hotel to go to the training ground and back in. I didn't know anyone, no one knew me. It was brilliant.
You know, even on that trial spell, it always sticks in my head, we had a painting commission, didn't we, to do of the ground. Someone commissioned a painting, and they must have taken a photo in a game. I think we were playing against Sheffield Wednesday. I think you're in the painting actually as well, Tinks. You're jumping for the ball to head the ball or something. But Dimi, you're in the crowd, aren't you? Because you were there watching the game, and there's the painting in the boardroom with you in the crowd watching the game.
Yeah, that was my first sight in the Hartlepool United ground.
You must have thought it was Chewbacca in the ground with you.
Neil Cooper came up with that. Jesus Christ.
What about when you first went into the dressing room? That must have been, was it quite a daunting thing to go into a dressing room and, you know, in a different country? And I know you've done it before to go to Spain, but to come to England, was it quite a nerve-wracking experience?
No, not really, because obviously I was in Spain before, and I couldn't speak good Spanish, and I didn't have a problem, and I could speak English when I came here, apart from when I was speaking to Neil Cooper, because I couldn't understand a word he was saying. But you know, it wasn't a problem for me. It was a bit strange, because I left a club which was quite good financially, and facilities were really good. And I came to Hartlepool. Back then, we're training Hartlepool College, and we were changing in I don't know what was that things, like the little room that we were changing in. I was actually changing the toilet because there was no other room.
Oh yeah, it was really small, wasn't it? And some of us had to change around the corner, and either in the shower.
I was in the toilet next to the
toilet.
shitter. I was sitting in the shitter to put my boots on.
Yeah.
And that was a bit strange, but as I said, I didn't care. I just wanted to play football, and you know, I was fine. I was buzzing in training. I didn't, you know. Now, if that happened now, it'd be like looking at every detail. Back then, you know, when you're young, you only want to play. You don't really care much about anything else.
And it was when you struck up a really good friendship, wasn't it, I suppose, with Joel, who came... Did he have the same agent as you, or did he just happen to be at the same time as you when he arrived at the club?
No, we had the same agent, Greek-Australian guy. And Joe came after me about a month after me, or a few weeks. And we're staying there in the hotel, and we started obviously bonding, and we we were having laughs and stuff, and then Joe's family came with his missus and the baby, and it was good times. Like, it was making the time obviously pass easier. Having someone else that was as new as you at a club, and obviously the same wavelength as you. It was it made it pretty exciting.
I remember you were playing in the reserves together, weren't you, Joel? And it was quite, when you were trialing, you were playing in the reserves. And I think we said this the other week, that Joel was going down as God knows who, because you were only allowed to play a certain amount of trial games, and then you couldn't play anymore. So the club would just. I think James Winter almost got a move on the back of your performances for the reserves, didn't he?
My first appearance was I came in at halftime as James Winter at York, I think.
He didn't look anything like you either, by the way.
No,
People were saying, Jesus Christ, James has put some height on.
He was blonde, skinny, and thingy.
Brilliant. But obviously that must have been a great moment. When it must have made it feel a little bit worthwhile when you did earn your deal at Hartlepool and put pen to paper.
Yeah, of course. Initially, I signed like a 6 month from where we were to the end of the season.
Yeah.
And then the end of the season came and signed a proper contract. But you could see I liked it there. I liked the atmosphere. I was lucky to be at the time where Hartlepool United were really good. We had an unbelievable squad, from playing ability to characters in the dressing room, and that made it a lot easier. And obviously, when you're doing well as a club, it's easy for players to want to keep being there or trying to earn a contract. And I got a contract at first, and then my sights were to start playing to be number one. Obviously, that came after.
What were your first impressions then, Tinks, when Dimi walked in? Obviously, can you remember your first impressions of him as a guy and a keeper?
To be fair, I'm as bad as Mick with me memory, but I remember the big Greg coming in, and everybody obviously didn't know Dimi at the time, but we thought, he's a big keeper, because Jim the keeper at the time wasn't the biggest, but Jim was like agile and a good shot stopper. So it was a bit of a contest at the start for Dimi and Jim to try and get that number one jersey. I just want to ask Jim, how was your relationship with Jim? Did you have a good relationship with each other?
Yeah, we got along. Obviously, when you in a dressing room, you sort of identify people who you can be closer to. You get along with everyone, unless someone is an idiot. But you get along with everyone. But it's not. It was our relationship. It wasn't the type of guy who could go on a night out with them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not. But in training, we was fine. We had prods there who made everything really enjoyable training with him, and we were competing. Sometimes Jim was a bit bitter about things.
I think it says before, am I right, Mark? Jim got Player of the Year.
He did, yeah, 2003-04, yeah, when he replaced Anthony Williams, he was Player of the Year, yeah, that year.
That's right, yeah.
When you had to be quite patient, didn't you, Jimmy, to be fair?
Yeah, of course. You had to. He was doing really well at the time, and I had to wait for my chance. But I knew, I've done it many times in my career. When you're not playing, all you can do is just keep working and wait for your chance and take it. Obviously, the chance came, and I got the number one spot. It's the nature of the position.
I always think this about goalkeepers, because everywhere else on the pitch there's usually a handful of positions up for grabs, but with goalkeepers it literally is only you or him, usually the two keepers challenging. So you're working each other, and you've got to be professional during the week, because it's a big part of your role is to work with the other goalkeeper, isn't it? To get your training done during the week. But when you're sitting on the bench and he makes a rick, are you sort of thinking, my chance might come now?
Sometimes when that happens, sometimes you think that everyone's standing and looking at you at the time, so you have to keep a straight face. No, you can be happy obviously when well, I wasn't when your team plays and the keeper that plays concedes a bad goal. You can't really be happy. You can use it later, for the manager to say, look, he's done this and I deserve a chance. But it's about the team really at the time. If your team concedes, you can be happy, even if you play or not. I don't think.
How did you get along with was Prud the goalkeeper coach, Tim, when you were there?
Prud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was Prud with you? Was he?
Top man.
Prud was a real character. I played with Prud down at Southend for a year and a half. Because we both lived obviously in the North East and used to come home at weekends. But I like obviously go back sometimes on a Sunday night if I came back on a Saturday. But Prud wanted to go back on a Monday morning. So he used to pick us up at 3 o'clock in the morning, drive down to Southend to get there for training. And Prud's as stiff as a board. He wasn't he? He had that. He's still a dodgy hip now because he's a goalkeeping coach at Sunderland. And I see him there under 18s, and he walks with a limp when he's got his hip, and he's still volleying balls into the goalkeepers. But he just wanted to pick us up at 3 o'clock in the morning, drive down on a Monday morning. But he had to get a wheelchair to get him out of the car. So he was that stiff when he. I couldn't believe it.
I remember when Mike Newell was in charge. I don't know if you remember this thing. So when Mike Newell was in charge, he organised a day out, an afternoon out for the lads at the brewery, up above the brewery in town.
Oh, yeah.
And Pruds was there, and I for some reason I got an invite.
Yeah.
I was there, and Pruds, I never forget it. Right, I don't know. I think it was his party trick. He used to get people in headlocks, didn't he? And he got me I was in a headlock for about 15 minutes.
He used to try and put you to sleep. He was a nightmare, honestly, an absolute nightmare.
He used to live in his car, basically, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a great guy, and I think he's a good goalkeeping coach, Tim, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's very good. He's very good. He's very. He forms great relationship with the keepers. That he because of his character, obviously, but he knows his stuff. I think he helped me massively from coming to England. Obviously, from my first few years. I got a few things from Prods, and it makes you, sort of preserves your confidence. Do you know what I mean? Because goalkeeping positions, it's a lot about confidence and about mentality. And I think he does a good job on this. And I think he does. That's why they have him at Sunderland, because he can bring obviously talent forward, like as he did with Jordan Pickford.
Yeah.
Was goalkeeping always your thing then, Dimi? Back in Greece when you were growing up, were you always want to be a footballer, and were you always want to be a goalkeeper?
Yeah. Well, see, when you're at school, you play in every position really. You run about. There's no really position you just chase after a ball. But I think I started looking at goalkeepers because my dad used to take me to watch football games, and I was looking at goalkeepers, and I liked diving about, and that's what I did as a kid. So at some point I persuaded my dad to take me to the juniors team when I was about 8, and since then I just I never thought about any other position. I fell in love with the position really. Covered in mud, and back then we used to play in gravel. There was no grass in Greece, and I remember my mum. She still says it. She after a session, training or a game, she used to put my clothes to wash them in the bathtub, and obviously dirt and blood would come out with it because of when your skin out to rush out on someone's legs, you leave half your skin on the floor. You don't care really about that, do you?
And was it always about the football then? Was there ever a time when you thought, if I don't make it as a footballer, I'm going to go into this? Any other career that would have taken your fancy?
It's always been sports. I was, by the time until I was 15 years old, I was playing football and basketball at the same time. Basketball is pretty big in Greece. And I was quite good at it. And I didn't actually know which way to go. But then I got involved with national team in football, in the like the juniors tournaments, and obviously I thought that was the right way for me to go at the time. But I still enjoy playing basketball, and I've always, I don't know if you had that thing when you were growing up. When I was a kid, I remember it now. Obviously, I played with thousands of other kids who they all wanted to be professional. It didn't once cross my mind that I wasn't going to become professional. I was thinking back then, that's what I like to do. That's what I'll be doing. But now, obviously, I realize I'm very lucky to have had that career. There's many kids that growing up and want to be professionals. Not many make it. But back then, I was like, yeah, that's the normal thing to do. It's like getting a promotion. You go from rank to rank.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been pretty lucky, I think.
Yeah, I think as kids, I think it's not all young players now, but quite a few young players. I think in our day, we wanted to be footballers because we wanted to play in the FA Cup final because we used to watch it on TV, and we wanted to play in Division 1 or the Premier League as is now, or play for your country. And I used to be out there under the street lights until my mum called us in on a night, and loved playing football. And I think we still do now. I still try and join in with the lads, even though I'm slower than I ever have been. I never get near them.
You weren't the fastest back then, mate.
Really? I've said this before, I was deceptive. I just loved the game, and obviously I still do now. But as a kid growing up, it was every night nearly just playing football, and it wasn't about the money or the big hours or what comes with it or the fame. It was just about loving playing the game and loving playing football, and that's what it was about. I think when I was a young lad growing up.
I remember we were playing at we had a pitch near our house. It was wonky, like proper downhill, and we used to put goals on the width of it. But if you played on one side, if you chased the ball to get back up, you were lucky. No, we didn't care.
That's why you went in goal, then.
Yeah, after a while, I can't be bothered to be running. I never like running. Tinks will tell you, I hate running, mate.
Jimmy was like Boydie, couldn't run.
Jesus Christ, that forest run at Hartlepool College, Jesus. It felt like 2 days for me. I remember, one time we start running and the slower ones start fast. So I start fast with a couple others. And after about 2 minutes, Trigger goes past me, like flying. I was already knackered. And he goes to me, take the handbrake off, Dim.
Not like does that.
Yeah, he loved running him.
Oh, he could run all day, Darryl. Jesus, like humps and swings and them. Great runners.
That was his favourite day, wasn't it? Swains, the Forest Run day.
Yeah. On the track.
Yeah, it was like Forrest Gump. Swains.
Things. Remember the first time Coops took us to do the 800s, or was it the laps?
On the track?
Yeah. I pulled out.
I was still in that day.
And I was still on trial.
I remember a few years after you, Nobby Solano was playing for Hartlepool, and they were doing running, and I think he did like a couple of laps of running, and then he went, no, I'm not a horse. Just walked off. I'm not a horse. That was it. End of session for him. So Dimi, just taking you back to Hartlepool, and then that chance you took, obviously it took a couple of bites of the cherry, didn't it? You came in and made your debut in the Cup against Macclesfield. What were your memories of your very first game?
We won, didn't we?
Yeah, we won 2-1, yeah.
Yeah. No, it was a good experience for me. It was I was buzzing because I got to play my first game in England, and as I said, I was very impressed with the whole atmosphere in English football, and the grounds, and how they play the game, the pace of the game and stuff. Yeah, so I was just buzzing to get the first game. I thought, it's a good chance for me to show what I can do, really. And yeah, it was a start. Then it took a little while longer to get established as a number one. But no, I really enjoyed it. It was a great experience for me.
Is it true? I don't know if you remember or whether this is just false information fed to me, but is it true you played in the next league game and then I think Neil Cooper left you out after that? Is it true you went and knocked on his door and asked him about it after that?
I think I played 2 games in a row. No, yeah 2 games in a row, and one game we got. I can't remember if that was it. Yeah,
I think you played against was it Wrexham on the Saturday? I think, and after you'd made your debut, you played in the next game, and we won again 2-1. But then you didn't play for another month.
Yes. He just dropped me, and he said to approach because I missed a couple of crosses coming out, and I didn't say anything back then. I thought I wasn't happy, but I thought, yeah, well, it's the manager's choice. And then after that, I remember the game. Which one we got beat 6-4?
Oh yeah, that was against Wrexham as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare of a game. And the next game, Coops put the same exact team apart from me, and I was angry. I spoke to this agent that I had back then, and he said to me, right, you have to put a transfer request in. You have to go and be firm. So I was like, yeah, right, I'm gonna go in. So I go in Coops' office. And I said, Gaffer, look, this is not fair. I'm not happy with this. I want to put a transfer request in. And Coops started laughing. And I felt so awkward. And I started laughing as well. And I went in, like, assured of myself that I'm going to, lay it out for him and get the response. And in the end, we shook hands laughing. And he said, I'll see you training.
That's what he could do, Coops. So he was like that, wasn't he? You could go in full of hell and want to go on guns blazing, but all of a sudden you see his face and you say something and he starts smiling at you, and you automatically start smiling back. And you end up giving him a hug. You end up giving him a hug, even though you want to be getting him in the headlock, but you just give him a hug and you walk out and you're all sorted again. That's the way he was.
You go in, you try to be serious, and he'll come up with a joke of something you said and start laughing himself, like, that laugh that it's really belly laugh that he used to do. And from being angry, you started to want to laugh as well. And in the end, you start laughing.
He must have been a pleasure to play. I know we've covered this sort of thing in other podcasts, but I never tire of hearing about Neil. I mean, what were your thoughts about playing under him, Dimi? He must have been a joy at times, because he was such a character.
He was class, mate. He was my first manager in England, and in that respect, I'm very lucky because he was such a laid-back guy, and he found something funny out of everything, every situation.
Yeah.
So that kept the atmosphere in the dressing room very, very healthy and very positive. So every now and then when we had a bad game, he would start giving it to us, and we knew he was serious. But apart from that, the next day he'd be still buzzing and joking around, and that made the whole atmosphere a really, really happy place to be around. I remember that incident with Bells. Remember that things in Stockport with a bottle.
Oh yeah. I was in that game. I was injured, I think.
Oh yeah.
Was that the Nels?
Coops came in, yeah. Stockport away. We got beat 1-0.
Yeah, I wasn't at that game. I was injured, I think. And
Coops came in the dressing room and started, like proper hammering everyone. Going in Stockport and this and that, and. He was hammering Nels for a while, and then Coops walks out, and Nels gets up angry, drinking a bottle of Powerade, which we only had a sip, to try to smash the bottle on the wall above my head. He just smashed it on my face.
You could have straight at you.
I was there that game. I was, because did we go beat 2-1?
No, 1-0, I think.
Oh, was it 1-0? That must have been a different one.
Yeah, and he tried to smash it, like as he was walking out, going, oh, for fuck's sake, and smash it on the wall. But I was sitting there, and he probably slipped off his hand and just went straight on my face, like, from a yard distance. So I went out, like screaming. And Mel just carried on walking. He went, "Sorry, Dim," and he walked out. Oh, seriously, man. For the next 7 days, I had a black eye.
Around the room.
Yeah, tell me. Yeah, I had a black eye. I couldn't tell anyone who was asking me how, that happened. So I was saying, I got an elbow in the game. It just happened.
But that breakthrough season for you then, Dimi, could hardly have gone better, really, could it? Because obviously it culminated in the playoff final, but obviously you made yourself a real hero down at Tranmere Rovers in that second leg. Can you still vividly remember that game and all the things that happened? Can you remember the key moments at least?
Yeah, of course. I was really...
you just mentioned the penalties, Mark.
Oh, no, yeah. Don't talk about that again.
We'll just leave the penalties out, Mark. Okay. It was a surreal game, We didn't play very well. We sort of trying to safeguard what we had from the first game, because we battered them the first game, really. We thought we might make a goal on the counter-attack, but it didn't work like that. And for about 60 minutes, we were keeping it fairly controlled, and obviously the managed to equalize. It became a bit of a stressful game, but no, I enjoyed that game, really. I was in the zone. Sometimes I was really sort of hyped to go into that game. And for a keeper, is because it's a unique position. It's when you get into action from the beginning in the game. That's why sometimes I say the most difficult games for a keeper is when you're quiet all game and you have to make one save in the end, or you have to do something towards the end. If you don't do it, it's a bad game. But if you're in the action involved the whole time and you're warm in the game, it's easy to keep your concentration, and that was a case, and I really enjoyed it. And in the end, obviously, it was Mark could have done it a little less stressful, but we got there.
We got there in the end. I just wanted to give some glory, you see. That's why.
I know, yeah, actually. Yeah, I saved 2 penalties. The only guy who ran to me was Bo Selector.
Oh, was it
Matty Robson?
Yeah.
You're doing a rewind.
Everyone ran into homes because you put the penalty in. I was on the floor with Matty Robson.
But it's forgotten probably that you were excellent in that game itself, not just the penalties. That everyone remembers the penalty save, but you performed really well in the game itself, hadn't you?
Yeah. I was pretty busy, done a few saves. Even now, sometimes I watch the game back, and I think, I was agile at some point in my career.
And looking at the penalty eggs, I remember we did a little feature in my office where we filmed you watching back the penalties, and I remember you saying that you just sensed something. It was Ian Sharps, wasn't it, who missed who you saved from that then gave
centre half, wasn't he?
Centre half, yeah. And I just remember you saying you sensed something about his body language, Dimi, that you didn't think he was too comfortable.
Yeah, he didn't look confident coming in. Like it looked like he didn't want to take the penalty. And usually, you could see from the penalty the way he kicked it. Usually when the player is not confident about taking a penalty, he'll try to be safe, just to put it on target. And his penalty was with his right foot on my right side, which is the most easy place to put it, and not very much in the corner. So I thought, I'd give him a bit of mind games, a few jumps and stuff like that.
I remember the reaction though, if I remember rightly. You didn't really celebrate or anything. You just got up as if to say, "Oh yeah, well, I knew I was going to save that one."
No, because I saw things missing one, and I thought I'm not going to celebrate yet until I'm put the next one.
Just as well.
By the way, I said a few swear words to you on that game, underneath my, thinking, talking to myself when you miss a penalty, in Greek as well.
No, I'm not going to mention anymore.
That's 4 or 5 times. Brilliant. I mean, Tinks, it was a great night, that, wasn't it? You know, we talked about it, I think, when we spoke to you. It was fantastic. That moment when Dimi saves the penalty and it's all suddenly comes down to that spot kick was brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think we wanted to, if we could, obviously, you could guess how we're going up. We wanted to work out as though Humps was going to take the penalty and score the winner, because it went on what went on in the previous games against Cheltenham when he missed the penalty. It just worked out perfectly, really. Obviously, Dimi pulled some great saves off on the night, and obviously the penalties. And just to see Humps go up, and like I said, I know he spoke the other night about the lads who stepped up early on to take the penalties, but for him to stand up to take another one for what he went through at Cheltenham, and obviously after that game we seen how down he was, and obviously as lads like we were close-knit players, and we kind of picked him up with a few jokes, but for him to walk down there in front of the fans and live TV audience and put it in the back of the net takes a lot of balls to do that. And I was so pleased and over the moon that he put it in. I think it was a big relief to him, and you could see in his face and his celebration and how much he was screaming. All the lads just ran down and jumped on him and forgot about Dimi. Sorry, Dim.
I had to run to you. That's unacceptable.
And you hate running.
Otherwise, I was celebrating being Matthew Robinson.
Yeah, it was a tremendous night. And it was great in the change room afterwards, and obviously going upstairs and obviously onto the final.
Onto the final, yeah. I mean, Dimi, what are your memories about that? You know, when you'd come across from Greece and you'd given up that 5-star hotel, that was the stuff that dreams were made of, playing in a game like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, and before the game, we were in a 5-star hotel. What really stood for me from that game, obviously things we remember it. I remember going on the bus towards Wembley, and it was a sea of people, really. And the 2 horses, or police horses in the front, were opening up the crowd, you know, and we were just driving through it. Remember things, and I was thinking, yeah. Oh my God. And obviously you get fans.
You played at Wembley as well?
Huh?
Oh, he said Wembley, you got it wrong, it's Cardiff, on it, Cardiff.
I've been at Wembley as well, though.
Yeah, I remember that, brother.
It was brilliant.
You're right, Tim. Yeah, it was fantastic. The fans either side of the coach it was like an unbelievable feeling on the coach with the lads, and we just you look at the back of the coach, the lads just big smiles on the faces, the flags going either side of the coach. And it was just a tremendous feeling, really.
I was really buzzing for the game. You know, I was really wired up for the game. I can't remember feeling a lot of stress, really. You know what I mean? Or nerves. I put it down due to my young age, really. I was only young because I remember feeling more sort of nerves before the game at the Middlesbrough playoff final. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Rather than the Hartlepool one. Obviously, I was older then, but it was a brilliant game. And I remember when we went 2-1 up, when Big John Daly put the header in, I turned around and I was crossing myself, you know, like that. I was thinking, oh, this could happen. This could happen.
It was amazing, wasn't it? Amazing. It always strikes me, and it's agonising to watch. I don't know how many times you two have watched it back, if any at all. But the penalty that goes in and Stephen McLean scores past you, you're so close to stopping it.
Like a split second. I knew he was going to go for safety to put it with pace, and I thought he was going to go with his right foot to my right side, and he just went a bit more to the middle. I got something with my left hand, but it wasn't enough. I was gutted because I was thinking, you save this, that's it, we're going up.
It was a question that Mickey asked last week, and Humps, to be fair, didn't get involved in it, but it's a good debate, I think. Good question. If VAR is in that game, is that a penalty? Is it a red card?
No, for me, no. 100%. No, I was in front of the situation. The guy took a touch. Weston was behind him, and Weston is not pulling him or anything else. He's just obviously trying to keep his balance, and then the guy falls over. He wasn't going to get the ball anyway because I went and picked it up.
I've done it, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And when the ref blew the whistle, I thought it blew a foul on me because he tackled the lad and he got me on the legs, and I thought it's a free kick. When he showed the penalty, I was swearing. I went to him swearing at him in Greek, and he actually spoke to me in Greek because he's been to Greece for many years.
That's unfortunate.
And he said to me in Greek, "I understand what you're saying." And I was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah. He still broke this referee, by the way.
Was, wasn't he?
He had some stories about him, didn't he? The chairman.
Oh, the chairman, yeah. Oh, dear me. We had a letter in at the club. I don't know if you saw the Ken Hodcroft edition, Dimi, but the chairman said that there was a letter came in that got posted over the bank holiday weekend that said there was going to be a dodgy penalty, and it obviously was postmarked before the weekend. So ridiculous. Well, yeah, it got posted, and it didn't arrive at the club until after the game because it was a bank holiday weekend. It's a bit strange.
Wow. That is strange.
You tell us now, we can speak Greek as well. So what's going on with this referee?
Something's not right. Everything is sort of adds up here.
But that must have been an amazing experience. You know, the result aside. I mean, did you have your family? Did all your family get across for the game? Were they watching on telly in Greece, Dimi? How did it work?
No, they were watching it. On telly from Greece. My mum and my sister, they've done. My sister can't watch games for me playing because she gets too stressed. She takes the car and starts driving around the block until the game's finished. And my mum has to drink a bowl of whiskey just to calm her nerves down.
It was a superb occasion. That probably should have led to something, but the following season, we've tended to skate over the following season in lots of these podcasts, I've got to be honest, because, you know, the relegation and everything was completely blown away by 2006-07 season when Danny Wilson came in and obviously just galvanised everyone at the football club. And, you know, it was just an incredible campaign, wasn't it? Dimi, you played a full part in that. It was amazing season.
It was brilliant. I remember that summer, there was a real interest. The MK Dons were trying to buy me. Martin Allen was a manager, and I remember him really trying to get me because he wanted a big keeper, blah blah. And my agent back then, he was saying, maybe you have to push the club to let you go. And then I spoke to Danny Wilson when he first came to the club. I just said, no, I'm happy to be here for now. It's not a problem with me, you know. I can see something happening, you know. And I knew that season didn't kick off for at least 1/3 of the campaign. We were struggling at the beginning. And then all of a sudden, I think when we all gelled together, we were unbeatable. You know, we went a full one round unbeaten, didn't we? 23 games.
23 games unbeaten, yeah. And that was the chant, wasn't it? We are unbeatable that season.
Yeah. And it was a memorable season because obviously we played Arlo, home and away. We beat them twice. You know, I think the fans really enjoyed that season, and so did we.
That Darlington game, I think Humps mentioned it was you made an unbelievable save. I think I watched it yesterday. I think is it like a deflected free kick almost that's creeping into the top corner and you flip it over the bar, and I think that's a pretty crucial point in the game as well.
Yeah, it was 0-0 I think at the time, and he tried to hit it with pace and deflected it one of the lad's legs and went to the top bin. But as I said, I was agile back then. Prod said to me after, "Oh, it's for the cameras, isn't it? You should have caught it." I was like, "Prod, give me some credit."
I think you were commentating with me that game, weren't you, Tinks? It was an incredible afternoon at Darlington that day.
Yeah, I thought we dominated from start to finish. We looked in a different level of Darlington. I thought that game, played some great football, scored some great goals, and obviously Dimi pulled that great save off. So yeah, from start to finish, we dominated the game, and we obviously, I think it was a 4-1 finish.
3-0 away game, yeah, 3-0.
3-0, I think so, yeah. But yeah, absolutely.
Clean sheet things, come on, man.
Sorry, mate.
Tell you why you're saying 4-1 is because we beat them 4-1 at the Vic that time when you scored.
That's what's in my head, yeah. I remember that.
Made a habit of beating Darlington, obviously.
Yeah, they never got near for a few years, did they?
I mean, that season though, Dimi, you talk about, the records that got broken and in terms of, the clean sheets. I think we kept 7 clean sheets in a row at one point, which still stands as a club record. And I'm pretty sure that the 25 clean sheets you kept is an all-time club record as well that year. I mean, that's got to be enormous pride looking back with, reflecting on that now.
I remember Danny Wilson before a game. He was such a good motivator, you know what I mean? Like man manager, keeping the players, switched on the whole time.
Yeah.
I was just about to go out for warm-up, and he stops me at the door of the dressing room and he goes, "Dimi, what's your middle name?" I said, "Gaffer, we haven't got middle names in Greece. So usually our fellas, no, it's clean sheet." And he walked away. I mean, it's quite clever from him, you know what I mean? It's a good thing to say to a goalkeeper when you're actually going out for warm-up before a game. Thinks, when you were in the dressing room, was it a dollar when you just put the 8 Mile song on?
Yeah, I was, came there.
Towels on the head.
Was everyone in the dressing room? Were you in the dressing room for that as well, yeah?
Yeah. Put the towels over your heads, lads. And he puts Eminem on.
Yeah, he did that. Mickey was on about that the other week, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Mickey mentioned that, yeah.
I could see a few heads like nodding, like laughing.
Well, like Humpson said, it did the trick, I suppose. It got everyone in the zone.
No, it did. Obviously, he had like kicks like that he could. They seemed odd at the time, but he actually did the job, to give a confident boost to the team.
Yeah, he was great. Danny was a good coach and a good man manager. You know how to deal with players, you know how to get the best out of players. But on the field, he was really, really good at his job and really thorough in everything he did and prepared the players and the team right for the games coming up. He was great on both sides, really.
That doesn't surprise me, Dimi, either, the way that you described it there, of him coming in and persuading you that you don't need to go anywhere, lad. This is the place you need to be. That's just right up. I can imagine Danny doing that. Yeah.
It was I don't know, about 10-minute talk we had. Obviously I never met him before until then. But since the first minute you speak to him, he seems so assured, and he can transmit that to you. And obviously, knowing his CV, working in the Premier League and so many clubs and his experience, after 5 minutes, I thought, I think we've got a good manager here.
I remember one year, I don't know what season it was, but I remember we were at Maiden Castle, and there was a few of the lads after training. Some were doing shooting practice, and some would set up a wheelie bin just outside the changing rooms door, and they were trying to chip a ball about 20 yards into the wheelie bin, and nobody could do it. They were there about 15-20 minutes trying to chip this ball into a wheelie bin, while Danny was finishing off with the shooting practice. And the shooting practice finished, Danny walked into the dressing room, and as he walked past, the ball was set up ready to take. And he didn't even break stride, he just chipped it at the wheelie bin and just kept on walking and went in the dressing room. It was brilliant.
Oh, he's a great technician, Dan.
Yeah. He's a great man.
Dimi, can I ask, sorry, Mark, can I just ask you, obviously when the seasons ended and we beat the playoffs and obviously playoff final 2 seasons, I mean, obviously went to Magaluf at the end of the season. Did you as a young lad used to go away with your mates when you were in Greece to certain parts of Spain, or go away with your mates, or was it just when you come to Hartlepool you went with a few daft lads?
To be fair, it doesn't happen in Greece, mate. There's no other group that's been as crazy as the group we had in Hartlepool back then. So I don't think it happens anywhere else, maybe. It was just us.
What did you make of it? Like, all the lads going away, and like obviously you and Joel, obviously were really close, and going away to Magaluf for 3 or 4 days, and obviously the laughs we had there. It was great for the team spirit that we had, and kept it going for the following season, wasn't it? I think
Everything was new to me. I loved everything. You know what I mean? From the organization from the idea to going there. I was the first one to jump in. To how we were there and how close. It wasn't like military organization. Everyone could do whatever they wanted, but we all wanted to be together. We wanted to stay tight. Obviously, a few of us go missing during the night, but in the morning.
But that was a big thing, wasn't it? The social aspect. We've spoken about it. We've spoken about it a little bit in earlier squads, but it was a big part of the success of Hartlepool United was that social aspect and how well you all got on together.
100%. I believe a massive percentage of a successful team is the bonding that the players have and the right characters in the team, and being close together. With Hartlepool then, we had it 100%. We used to have a Tuesday club, remember, because we were off on Wednesdays. We used to have a Tuesday club and go out on a Tuesday, a few of us, like most of us, and have a night out, even during the week. And that kept us going, because there was competition within the team, but there was always healthy competition, because if you spend a lot of time with someone, it becomes your friend. You can't see him as your rival anymore, even if you play the same position. You see him as your friend. Obviously, you're both trying to play, but there's no bad intentions in it. And I think that's the key. We had a good squad with Middlesbrough when we went up that season. Obviously, not as close as doing those things as back then with Hartlepool, but that shows that I've been in 2 clubs, both successful at the time. Both the dressing rooms were really close.
I think that's important. I think as you develop your team or your squad over 3 or 4 years, and we all want to play every game, but obviously we all 20 players cannot play. But I think if you're together for 3 or 4 years and you develop that team spirit, that camaraderie, and that real friendship that I think we had there, it sets you in good stead for the following years, and that development and winning games and pushing each other to get in that team. And the competitive edge in training games was so competitive. You can be fending off the field. As soon as you cross that white line, there was tackles going in, there was handbags flying about, there was pushing and shoving when we didn't get out, and somebody didn't score, somebody made a bad tackle, or it was really competitive. And I had arguments, like I've said before, I had arguments with Holmes. Holmes didn't really like a tackle every now and then, but that's the way some of us were. It was competitive training. That's the way we did our jobs every day, and everybody gets on that same path, and you create a good, healthy environment where you're competitive in training and when you go into games on a Saturday, which is massively important if you want to be a successful squad or team.
I hated the shooting drills. I hated them, all the stick you were giving me. Oh, Jesus Christ. Remember that time? Were you there when I started chasing Michael Proctor? Remember when I started chasing Michael Proctor?
When he tried to chip you?
Yeah.
When he tried to chip you, I remember that.
No, he didn't try to chip me. You were doing the shooting, and every time a goal going in, he was saying, put a keeper in, or put your gloves on, and stuff like that. And I told him from the beginning, I said to him, look, I'm not in the mood. Just cut it out. And he carried on, and I just lost it. And I remember chasing him on the pitch, and he was running, and I was trying to chicken leg him, but he was too fast, and I couldn't get it.
I'm sure he chipped you, Jimmy, Dim, in that.
Yeah. The last shot, he chipped me, yeah.
I'm sure he did, yeah. I'm going to say, Dim, you can't enjoy everything about Magaluf. When that time you and Joe were late, and you had to down half a glass of, what was it?
Oh, was it?
Was it Bacardi? Was it Bacardi or whiskey or something?
Whiskey, something like that.
Yeah, that would be down for 11 o'clock at the breakfast. Jimmy and Joe were late, and they both got half a glass of whiskey. I couldn't have done it, but fair, they did it. They downed it, and then we got it again.
Because you had to every half an hour that you're late, you had to do a shot. So we were late about a couple of hours because we were knackered. We had to do nearly half a bottle. Oh, gee, what a start of the day!
You and Joel, as we said before, you got really tight and you're really friendly, you know, and you're obviously probably still in touch now because you'd spent a lot of time together and you just got on like a house on fire, didn't you?
Yeah, we had such a good chemistry, you know. We were roommates in the games, every day hanging out together. Obviously, at the time, he had his family. I didn't have any kids or family back then. But we just did everything together, and it was really enjoyable. Like, you know, the banter we had together. He was that Aussie, at the beginning, strange guy who he was a bit ditzy at times. You know what I mean? That Aussie ditziness. It was so funny with the stories I've got. It's for a different show.
Well, Mark, we knew obviously Dimi and Joe out in Hartlepool, but we love listening to stories after the weekend, after the week. We had such a laugh in the change room in the morning what happened and stuff like that.
Bar Paris, yeah.
Oh, he loved the night out. He loved the night out.
When it came to leaving, it's interesting you mentioned about, you know, staying on at the club when you possibly could have left the previous summer. I remember Ken, the chairman, ringing me up and saying, "Look, Mark, we're going to have to put a statement out. Unfortunately, Dimi's going to be leaving." But the statement was so positive because he has been, you know, quite cold with players who've left in the past. But yours, I remember, he was very keen for us to say he leaves with our best wishes. I think we did an interview with you. He was very keen for it to leave on good terms. I suppose that's because you showed respect to the club the previous year, and, you know, and helped the club achieve the goals of 2006-07.
Yeah, I think obviously the chairman and everybody in Hartlepool appreciated how I came to the club, you know, from, you know, being unknown and starting, you know, very low wages and not really, never created an issue. You know, I took everything along and just worked my way up, and, you know, I ended up having interest from championship clubs, which I thought that stage of my career I had to take, you know, to challenge myself higher. And I had an offer, obviously, from Hartlepool. It was a really good offer, long-term offer. I just felt I needed to, you know, to try higher, and there was no grudges. You know, I spoke to was it Steve-O in charge at the time?
At the end of that season,
Yeah.
When you left, it would have been Danny still, I think.
Oh yeah, Danny was I think but I think it was Steve-O the assistant manager.
Steve-O was the assistant. He was coach when we went down the previous year in 5-6.
Yeah, but I remember having a chat, and obviously they offered me a decent contract for the long term, and I said, look, I'm flattered and I really appreciate it, but I need to do this because I think it's no one said anything, you know, just shook hands, and I think that was the case with Ken, and he told me later that there was a lot of interest during my time in Hartlepool from clubs.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel that they needed to sell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They needed to keep the best players, and, you know, I said I never kicked off. I never caused any problems, and I think he appreciated that. I think it was a very healthy relationship, and, you know, he ended up really in a very positive spirit.
I think that's great for you, Dim, obviously coming from Greece and leaving, being to come to Hartlepool and having that success when you did, and having that opportunity to move to a championship club. It just shows how sometimes you take a risk at times, and you work hard, and it shows how far you've come to getting that move to Coventry at the time.
Yeah, I think it's all about mentality. I think that's what. If I learn anything from my career, it's this, that when you're young, yes, you have aspirations, you have dreams, but you have to realize that you can't get from nothing to everything, straight away. You need to make sacrifices, and most of all, you need to put your head down. Because if you start spinning your dummy out, or if you're not giving your best, you're only hurting yourself, really. You're not getting better. You're not developing. You're not progressing, and that shows to the manager and whoever is the manager or the team you're in. You're only going to hurt yourself in the end. And I think that's one thing I would take, and I would say to any young footballer as an advice from my career. And I'm sure you agree, things, because when you're young, sometimes your emotions are above your head, and you want to rush into decisions or do things or say things. But it's important to carry on working and believe that you can go further. And there are going to be people who don't believe in you. That's normal. But as long as you're working hard, you can prove them wrong. I think that's what I did with Hartlepool and with Middlesbrough twice.
Yeah, you're right. I think you've got to give yourself the best opportunity as a young player, so that your best opportunity is working as hard as you possibly can to improve in every area of your game as well. So yeah, definitely, totally agree with that, Dim. Yeah.
You obviously went back to Greece for a spell after that, and a few loan spells in the injury you had curtailed the stuff in England. You went back to Greece and you ended up playing for AEK Athens, which is presumably one of the biggest clubs. I don't think it went so well, but to play for them must have been a big buzz. Right?
Yeah, I went after my contract finished at Coventry to a smaller club, Corfu.
Yeah.
They just got promoted to the Premier League in Greece, and the chief executive had experience from the UK working here, and he sort of persuaded me to join them. And at first we were doomed to go back down. Not a very big budget. The squad wasn't the best. It was from the division below, but we did have a good group there as well, and we did really well. And I managed to get the goalkeeper of the season award in the end, and the best 11 of the season. And I got my national team caps, and that got me moved to AEK Athens, which the first year was brilliant because we were still financially healthy. We had a great squad, big players, Johnson. We had big names from Greece that won the Euro 2004.
Yeah.
We did really well. But then the second year, everything deteriorated. Everyone left. The club owed money to a lot of players. Still owe money to me. And they end up being relegated to fourth division because of financial reasons.
Right. Okay.
And it didn't end well, but I enjoyed my time there.
And when you went back to Greece and had that move, did you ever anticipate that you'd one day be back in England?
I can never say never to football. That's one thing I've learned. Things can change like a week to week, never mind years. So I always kept my options open because my wife is English. She's from Hartlepool, so I'll always have a tie to England. And I knew at some point I might be back. But it happened under strange circumstances because I was here basically on holiday and I got the call from Middlesbrough. No, as I said, out of nothing, as long as you believe in yourself, you can create anything you want.
And suddenly when you turn up at Middlesbrough, you've got Tinks there every day again.
I know I can't get away from him. I nearly turned that down because of him.
I'm more sensible now, though, Mark. No, because I was in the office when Tony Moore was manager, and obviously it was Percy who phoned you, Jim.
Yeah. Darky phoned me first, and then Percy. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So I was in the office, obviously working with the under-18s with Colin Cooper at the time, and Tony was in the office, and Vino, and obviously Steve, and I heard them talking about fetching a keeper, and then I heard Dimi's name get mentioned. Obviously, it spiraled from there, and obviously Dimi came to the club, and the rest history. Really, he had a fantastic 6 years, Dim.
6 years, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic 6 years, unbelievable.
Tony said to me when I first came in the office, and I signed, he said, bear in mind, I only signed for like 6 months until January. He said to me, look, you do well here. You come and take your crosses and stop the shots. You might be here for the next 5 years. And I've been 6.
Brilliant. How did you find it? How did you find it, Dim, coming to Middlesbrough then? Obviously, who was the first choice goalkeeper at the time?
Steely was the number one.
Oh, Jason was there. Jason was number one, yeah.
Yeah, he had a slight injury.
What did Percy say to you when you signed? Then did he say you get opportunity, or were you there just to be a assistant goalkeeper? Or
no, he said we didn't speak about that. I sort of knew the situation by just before I got to that. You know what I mean? It was a case of Middlesbrough having Jason Steele as number one. They had a number two, and obviously the manager rated those two goalkeepers, and they needed someone because Steely got a bit of an injury, and they needed a backup for the next couple of games, really, and help in training. But as I say, in football, you can't rule anything out. So I didn't walk in there with the mentality of, I'm just going to train here and be on the bench when needed. I walked in with just waiting for a chance. And as it turned out, obviously, it came, and I made sure I'd be right to take it. Obviously, you have to be fortunate at some point for some things to go for you. Do you know what I mean? And it did for me.
Yeah, definitely.
But you have to take it as well when it's presented.
I remember you saying that when you first signed for Hartlepool. You won't probably remember, but I think you'd been away on a course with a few different goalkeepers, or you'd been somewhere training with some top Premier League goalkeepers. And I remember you saying, sometimes it's about just getting that chance. Sometimes your ability might be as good as somebody who's playing in a division higher or even higher than that. It's just about being in the right place or being given that chance to shine.
100%. I think in every sport, not in just football, you need to have that bit of luck sometimes, because you could have all the ability, but if circumstances aren't right or things go bad for you, you're not going to go as far as you can go. And I think any footballer you ask, any successful footballer will tell you the same, but they have situations in their career that things went for them, and they were at the right time, the right place, or under the right manager to get that chance or to get that move. It plays a big part, I think.
And obviously you went on to have really good success at Middlesbrough, and you had a great affinity with the supporters there as well. They seem to really take to you. Yeah,
it's the same story as Hartlepool, really. I think Middlesbrough supporters appreciated the fact where I came. They didn't know me really. They knew me as a goalkeeper who used to play for Hartlepool. And they saw that I came in as a backup. I've applied myself well in training. I never caused a problem. I always was professional and got to number one and, got promotion and broke records and stuff. And I think people appreciate that, to see hard work being repaid, really.
And in terms of the Middlesbrough thing, obviously they got it. Does it frustrate you that you didn't get possibly the opportunity to shine at the very top level with Middlesbrough?
Yeah, massively. It was a very frustrating season. I didn't know why. I wasn't even looked at from one season, from 2 seasons in a row, being number one and doing well, and breaking every record really the club had, gaining promotion, to all of a sudden, not being involved at all with the squad. It was baffling, and no one spoke to me really. No one explained to me what's happening. But then again, I didn't cause any issues. I asked if they didn't want me to be here or if they wanted me to look for something else. Because from my previous season, I had a lot of interest from at least Championship clubs. They wanted to get me, but they said to me, "No, we want you to be here. We want you to push," which didn't make sense because I went from number 1 to number 3 all of a sudden, and it was a bit strange. Yeah, I'd love the opportunity to play in the Premier League. That was everyone's dream. And I said it before. I wasn't asking for the share to be given to me because what we've done last season. I just wanted a chance. If I'm not good enough, fair enough. Change me. I'll be the first one to say, I'm not doing a good job. But I thought
Did
I
Leo
was.
not mention anything? Yeah? Did Leo not pull you?
No. No, I was seeing at the press speculation about keepers, and 2 keepers came. Then at some point, Leo only said to me, "We want you here. We want you to push, to challenge, and all that." And I believed him, sort of thing. I thought, they might look at me as well if things go wrong. But then, we weren't doing well. Weren't winning games, and still didn't get a chance. And that's the frustrating thing.
How did you find Victor Valdez?
Yeah, he wasn't the best professional. Let's put it that way. That I've worked with. I was expecting a lot more from him when he first joined. Obviously, being such a lucrative player, won pretty much everything. Played for the biggest clubs in the world. I was expecting to see a more professional and someone who could still learn from. But he wasn't the best character to be around. I rarely say that for any fellow goalkeeper, but if you ask others, will tell you the same. It wasn't enjoyable to work with him in training.
Yeah, obviously I spoke to people, and obviously I was at the club when he was there, and obviously the goalkeeping coach took him at times. He, like you just said there, the attitude wasn't great, and I think that made it difficult. Because I know some of the younger lads come down to train, didn't they? Some of the younger younger goalkeepers.
100%. Yeah.
I don't think it's good for them to see, like you say, like a Barcelona legend won everything in the game to go on the way he did in some of the sessions like you spoke about, and it doesn't set a good example for the younger lads, really.
Yeah, I think he came to the club. When you go in the club and you believe you're bigger than the club, and you think you can pretty much do anything you want, and no one's there to tell you that that's not the case. Yeah. I think that was the situation at the time, and he was, he was being the spoiled child of the squad at the time, I think, and no one would tell him off, and he could get away with anything he wanted.
Yeah.
Well, on reflection, then, Dimi, looking back on you, as a young boy with gravel in your knees and blood all over your knees, diving around and running up the hill of that football field back home. I mean, you've pretty much had a fantastic career, haven't you? Looking across the breadth of your 20 odd years as a footballer.
Look, the experiences I have and the memories I have from my professional career, they're unbelievable. I feel like I've seen a lot of things, a lot of different countries. I met hundreds of different people. I played with great players, and I enjoyed every minute of it. Obviously, there's ups and downs, but that's how it is. That's what makes it more special, I think. And in the end, if you finish your career with loads of memories and lots of stories to tell to your kids and to everyone else, I think that was a career worthwhile with time.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think if you look back on your time or as a footballer, like you say, if you've had success, whatever level you played, you count different levels of success or type of player you are. But the times you've had as a player and meeting fantastic people and working with some great coaches, great managers, and like you say, traveling the world, it doesn't come much better being a player. I think I know some players say, they don't miss the playing, they missed the changing room banter with the lads and the crack. But I miss the playing. I miss walking out in front of the fans and knowing you've got to win or you've got to go out there and do your best. Or the pressure of it and all the excitement of travelling to a game, and whether you're on the coach with the players or you're travelling to your home stadium. I miss all that and that competitive edge when you walk out across that white line on a Saturday or Tuesday night. I don't think there's anything beats it. Yeah, it's great. I love coaching, but playing them games and being part of a team like that, nothing comes close really.
That's the thing. You know, when you are a player and you have that, it gives you that focus for your whole life really. And obviously, as you know, things being a professional footballer, that even everyday training, it could affect your everyday life. You know, our families sometimes had to suffer of us being in the mood because we were shit in training, or you know, didn't have a good game, and you take it out at home at some point. But that's how it is. You have that focus, you have that drive to better yourself and to do well for your team. And that's why I say we're lucky, because you don't get that in many aspects of different jobs in life, and you know that excitement, that drive to do well.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Dimi, thanks very much indeed for joining us on Switch of Play. We've really thoroughly enjoyed looking back on your time. I hope you've had a laugh as well.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure, seriously. It's like talking like a normal conversation we would do if we met for a drink. That's why I enjoy it.
Yeah, cheers, Dimi. Good to see you again, mate. Hope to see you soon, pal.
You too, pal. You too.
And best of luck with your coaching badges. We'll see you soon, mate.
Thank you. Cheers, boys. See you later.
Well, Tinks, I've thoroughly enjoyed that. Dimi was great value, wasn't he? Yeah, what a character.
Yeah, he's great, Dimi. Like I said, it was interesting to see speak about when he was in the hotel in Spain, and obviously got a call from his agent. He's ready to sign for a club, then come to Hartlepool, and it's a big risk to take because you don't know what he's coming into. He doesn't know he's going to get offered a contract, but fantastic the way that it went for him, and obviously he's had a fantastic career. Absolutely brilliant.
And he comes across so well, like he always did in interviews and chatting to him and that. He must have been a joy in the dressing room when you got to know him. Yeah,
they were honestly, Mark, they were great lads in there, and obviously Dimi and Joe they become really close, them two. And like I said, sometimes after the weekend, we used to come in on a Monday morning and look forward to the stories that them two had, whether they'd been in Hartlepool or wherever they'd been, because there were so many they had. But yeah, they were part of the dressing room. Yeah, we were great characters and that, and obviously part of the success we had at the time at the club.
I was going to say they might have liked the night out, but DMA, they'd certainly put in some performances for the club, didn't they?
Yeah, Dimi at times was unbelievable with some of the saves he made, and obviously Joel as well, the quality he had in the attack and third and the goals he scored. But yeah, brilliant Dimi. I'm so pleased from that he's had the success he had, taking that chance and coming over to Hartlepool, and obviously, like I said, lots and lots of games in English football, and obviously I think he played for his national team as well, which is fantastic for him as well. And
finally, I just want to say thank you to you as well, Tings, for coming on and stepping into the Mickey Barron shoes for us this week. Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's been good, Mark. I really enjoyed it. But you'll get the legend Mickey back next week. So
only on loan.
Yeah, just on loan. No, it's been great. Thanks for asking us. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, chatting to Dimi. Obviously, I've seen Dimi quite a bit over the years working at Middlesbrough. But no, it's been great, and thanks for asking us.